It's okay, I suppose. It's Robbie Williams. I like him much more than a lot of the stuff he brings out these days.
I quite like that.
Yeah, I like it. I think the album's got better stuff on it. We've been joined by Toyah Willcox, ladies and gentlemen. Toyah, first I'm going to say how lovely you look today.
Thank you very much.
Then I'm going to apologise to you because I was very rude about you when you were in the jungle.
I know you were.
I said, oh, did you know that?
Yeah, I'm going to grab your nuts when we're off air.
I said, blimey, when you come back through duty free, buy yourself some makeup. Because you did look a bit rough out there, I'll be honest with you. You know this.
Yeah,
we all look rough when we haven't got makeup.
I was brave enough not to take makeup in with me.
Well, that is very brave, and you know, that speaks very well of you as well.
I think it does
That you didn't
too.
see that as an essential.
But don't think you're going to get away from your nuts being crushed.
I'm genuinely apologising.
Thank you.
Because you do look so lovely. You scrub up very nice. And your hair looks lovely. That's your own hair.
That's my own hair, right down to my bum.
Because look how much you've got of it. It's very thick.
It's incredibly thick. It's very grey.
But it's strange that... Oh, so you dye it now, yeah?
Yeah.
but then I was going to say, normally when people have dyed their hair a lot, which you did way back when...
Yeah.
It isn't particularly nice quality now, is it?
I can grow hair for England. I have no problem with it. And thankfully, it's all on my head.
Well,
I don't have a hairy chest.
It looks nice.
I'm pleased. Thank you.
I was looking for Eddie to say something then. He was too busy stuffing his face.
It does look nice.
He doesn't look as though he's woken up yet.
OK, so you survived the jungle. Congratulations.
Thank you.
That was, I would imagine, not the most pleasant experience.
It was just so dull. Yeah. I can't tell you how dull it was. And it made your brain dull as well. We were only being fed about once every 26 hours.
They seem to be doing that deliberately to get you guys on edge.
But I think they were hoping we'd just tear each other's eyes out. And I just thought, no, come on.
But that's what made it less entertaining for us, to be honest with you. And although I kind of respected you all for keeping calm and keeping together as a unit, we wanted to see some strife and conflict and people falling out with each other.
I knew you did. I wasn't going to give you what you
didn't deliver the goods. We wanted people being sniping and...
I don't want the headline for the next 20 years, Toyah Queen of the Jungle. It's like, for the last 20 years, I've been Toyah Queen of Punk. I just didn't want to come out of there with a reputation.
But what did you go in there for then? What were you hoping to achieve? Did you have a game plan?
Well, I'm actually into physical kind of challenges. I really thought they would physically test us. I didn't think they would mentally test us. And that whole kind of torture thing, I really was not prepared for. I was very naive about that. But I'm really physically fit, and I was hoping that, I'd be able to do everything that Fash was doing. Yeah. But then I realised...
Oh, but Fash was ridiculous.
Oh, Fash was brilliant. Do you know, on the opening night...
He did 1,000 sit-ups. Why would anyone want to do 1,000 sit-ups?
Okay, but you heard all the words of advice. On my opening night for Calamity Jane, he went to the wrong theatre. He sat in the mousetrap for the whole of Act 1 and then realised he was at the wrong show.
That's fantastic.
Now, how big is that man's brain?
So he went into the bar after and said, well, I liked it, but... I was hoping there'd be more songs, more of the songs from the film. We've got to go to the news right now. We'll chat some more straight after this because Toyah is in Calamity Jane, which is one of my favourite musicals.
You lie.
I love Calamity Jane. I love it. But I made the children watch it when we were away at Christmas. I made my kids sit down and watch it, and they still talk about that afternoon as if it was some sort of unusual punishment I put them through.
I'll bring them to see mine.
Oh, yeah, they want a lively live version.
It's really lively.
Let's talk about that after the news. 88 to 91 FM, this is Radio 2 from the BBC. Jonathan Richman and the Modern Lovers.
Yeah.
He was great. He still is great.
I loved him.
Toyah Willcox is here. She was once the High Priestess of Punk.
I still am.
That's what they called you, wasn't it? Because you were never really a punk as such when you had the hits, because that was more of a kind of punk pop, wasn't it?
I don't understand where it came from. I think it's because I did Jubilee and worked with Derek Jarman and all of that. Yeah.
But you were so you were acting before you were doing the music?
Yeah, I was at the National Theatre when I was 18. I made a film with Katharine Hepburn when I was 20.
Wow.
Directed by George Cukor.
Unbelievable.
And I've got a picture of Cukor in my house, and I just keep thinking, that man directed James Dean and Monroe and Toyah Willcox.
Well,
I bet that wasn't on his CV.
That was quite alarming, that laughter. Where did that come from?
A car.
It's a hay fever. But it's nice that you see it in that way. I mean, it's a very, you're very centred, you're a very kind of level-headed person, I get the feeling.
I think I'm quite level-headed, yes.
Let's talk about Calamity Jane, because Calamity Jane, I love the songs in Calamity Jane.
Oh, it's just the most beautiful show.
But the one they all talk about, Secret Love, is the big song from them. Yes. That's the one I like the least, probably, in actual fact. I don't know what it's like to perform, but...
I hated it before we started the tour, and the way we've directed it, it's like this woman's... I'm playing a virgin in the show, and when people see how I play it, I'm playing it like a kind of really rough, possibly lesbian-type character who suddenly discovers her sexuality. And Secret Love is just so innocent and so beautiful that to perform it, you fall in love with the song again.
Actually, it's interesting you put it in that context, because I can see as soon as you were saying that, I thought, actually, I guess that was always there in the.
Oh yeah, I think it's the power of the piece. It's a woman who has a gender identity crisis. It's fabulous. I absolutely love it. For half the show, she's pretending to be a bloke, and then suddenly she becomes the sexiest thing on the planet.
Is that fun for you when you spend the whole show in buckskins and then you get to fem up at the end?
I spend a whole show in buckskins and then I really snog the mouth off my leading man by the end of the show.
There's something for everyone in this
And
play.
I get paid for it as well.
There's something for the hardcore dyke audience. You've got the gender confused, can just bubble along all the way through, and at the end you've got the people who like the very conventional setup.
Of course.
There's no man-on-man action in the play, though, is there? So they've missed out that demographic.
I think it's a very well balanced production.
That's in Oklahoma, isn't it?
Yeah.
With Judd. It must be tiring, though, I would have thought. How long does it run for every night for you?
It's about 2.5 hours. It's incredibly physical.
It's mainly on you as well.
It's mainly on me. It shocks the audience because it's very acrobatic and they don't expect that. I have to do lots of kind of backwards rolls and I'm swinging from rafters and do an awful lot of stage fighting, which I think is quite shocking for the kind of people that are expecting to see a Doris Day kind of production.
Yeah. Well, that in the Doris Day film, though, it has its moments where early on when she's got the whip and when they bring the musical girl in from. Yeah. It's a great film. Oh, I love Windy City.
But did you notice that in the film that they shoot they shoot day for night, where in all the night scenes they're actually in broad daylight, and in all these old kind of Western movies they did that because they could never afford to film at night.
I guess also, I suppose it was easier for them to perform then. You don't want people dancing and throwing people around when it's actual darkness out there. It's,
yeah, but it looks so bad.
Yeah, it does look a bit. But I kind of like that look. In the Hammer movies they do that a lot, and it kind of has its own charm, doesn't it?
I know.
You'd be good in a horror film. You'd be good as the woman who gets bitten by the vampire.
No, I'd like to be the vampire.
You see, I knew you'd say that, and then we don't want lady vampires, unless it's Ingrid Pitt. But you enjoy doing this, I imagine. I mean, it must be quite a fun thing to do. Even though
it's just a joy because it's so funny and it's a scream. I mean, there's been their moments. I've dislocated knees on stage.
Yours or other people? Yeah, okay.
Mine. In Edinburgh on the press night, my knee dislocated.
Does that hurt?
Does it hurt? I mean, the air was blue. And then I've slipped discs doing it. My discs. It's. I think it's an achievement to get this show on the way we've done it.
Do you warm up beforehand then, presumably stretching? And
yeah.
Because you when you were born, you had any number of problems, didn't you? I don't mean that in an unpleasant way, but didn't you have some spine problems and hip problems?
I mean, ironically, I shouldn't be doing a show like this. I mean, I'm what is it? I am actually disabled.
So have you got a parking permit?
No, I decided not to go for it.
See, that's unbelievable. You could have one and you didn't go for one. You're like the most noble person on the planet. There's
Don't
no
worry,
way.
I'll get one eventually.
I've been trying to persuade them that my soft R entitles me to one. I'm very short-sighted.
Are you?
Yeah, I should have a little permit for that.
Oh, bless you.
Park way outside the shop in case I go in the wrong one.
I'll be a guide dog.
So you could have it. You were that. It was that much of a physical challenge to you when you were younger.
Oh yeah. I don't have any hip sockets. My knees dislocate.
So how does that work?
I'm very strong. The physio I was given was to build muscle. So you can actually survive with shallow sockets as long as you're very muscular. And I am incredibly muscly.
And so the hip, do they ever pop out?
Yeah, they can if I carry too much weight.
Oi.
But once your hip pops out, you're in big
I can imagine. And has it happened to you?
No.
Well, thank goodness for that.
But I just wouldn't go around carrying a lump of concrete.
So if you try to pick up something heavy?
Yeah.
Wow. But so you must be. Are you sort of ever vigilant? Do you have to be aware of?
I'm super aware. There's certain things I can't eat. If I eat mango, I can't walk the next day.
See, I love mango.
I love mango,
but you can't have it.
Notice if your joints hurt the next day after you eat it.
No, they don't.
Well, then you're not allergic to it. Most people with my condition can't eat things like mango and lemon.
What's in the mango then?
Well, it crystallises in the joints.
I had no idea.
Yeah, so it's
bananas.
So bananas are all right, but I'm just incredibly aware of all that.
Dates.
Dates, perfect.
Not just gonna
keep you regular as well.
No, I was just checking because they are a great source of pleasure to me. And I would like to think that you have some. No, I love a date. I love bananas. I love mangoes. And if I had to lose one of what I consider the holy trinity of fruit, then fine, I could live without one. But if I had to lose three, but you've got two out of the three, so you can cope.
Yeah.
Okay. But when you went in the jungle then to do the celebrity thing in the jungle, Were you not worried about your hips then, or...?
They knew that there was a doctor on hand, so they assess you and everything. So I said, look, my knee can dislocate, but I put it back in. That's a problem. If my hip goes, I'm in big trouble because that needs medical attention.
Wow.
So they were perfectly aware, and they watch you the whole time. They said that even if you go ouch and you look at your thumb, a camera would be looking to see if you were bitten by a spider. So you were watched. And then I got quite poorly because we didn't eat for so long.
But it was actually in a large soundstage, wasn't it?
No.
I thought it was. I thought it was like Capricorn 1.
They were actually really responsible because they took me out and gave me blood tests at one point because
during the course of the
show because they were so concerned about me. Okay. But I started to pick up again halfway through. My body kind of got used to the starvation.
I'd have liked them taking Phil Tuffin and giving him a blood test just to see if they could find out if there was any actual blood left or if it had all been replaced by alcohol over the years.
I know.
Was he fun? Who were the people you enjoyed being with there?
I loved the girls. The girls were just brilliant.
So you had Sian, the quiet weather woman.
She wasn't quiet, though. Right. She really could talk
But
for
we
England.
didn't see much of that. See, it is quite interesting. I don't think they deliberately misrepresent people, but...
Of course, and Chris Bisson was absolutely gorgeous, and he was never featured at all.
He just seemed like quite a dull bloke, the way the show played out. No, he was great,
and Catalina was fantastic, and she was never a cow, not really. No. I mean, they made her out to be this villain, and she wasn't. But my passion was Daniela Westbrook, because I just think that woman is an icon. I just loved her company.
And are you in touch with these folks?
Yeah,
You're friendly with them?
Yeah, we're texting each other all day long.
And so is there a reunion plan? I know there was a TV reunion, which I didn't see. But
well, they all came to the opening night, and we all had a party afterwards.
Well, that's nice.
It's good fun.
Apart from poor old Fash who went to the wrong theatre.
He made it halfway through the show.
God bless him. God bless him.
I mean, isn't he unbelievable?
Did he focus?
He focused.
Obviously not when he walked in.
He's quite a ridiculous human being, though, it has to be said. I mean, sweet-natured and good luck to him. Good heart, yeah, exactly. No malice and, seems to... But just slightly ridiculous. And who of us isn't, eh?
True.
Me sitting there saying that, I'm just as ridiculous in my own way. Toyah is to be seen at the Shaftesbury Theatre in London for Calamity Jane. Now, this is... You've been all over the country in this.
Yeah, we toured it. For a year.
How much of a kind of different reaction do you get when you're now in London? Is it a different crowd?
It's the same reaction. People are wowed by it because it is so physical and it's quite a dangerous-looking show. So I think people... we just get standing ovations. It's nice.
It must be lovely then to be doing that.
It's fab. Especially, come on, I'm 45. I don't really envisage myself doing a performance like this again in my career. Yeah. So I'm relishing every moment of it.
But you say you're not doing it again, but you could do this for another 4 or 5 years, couldn't you, if you're strong and you keep yourself in good shape?
Well, the thing is, it's the face. I'm playing a romantic lead.
Now I feel bad because I was rude about Toyah and now she's saying, and I do feel bad, genuinely.
Well, no, I'm very happy. I'm going to fall into the role of character actress. I'm going to have a great time. My future does not worry me.
We're all getting up. What's the worst part of your body now? What's the bit that's decomposed the most in terms of age? Mine would be, well, I can't. Well, number one, I can't really talk about, right? Because that would be.
Has it sagged?
Things droop.
Do your knees knock?
Certain things are far lower than they were just even 6 months ago.
The worst thing for me is I actually have a six-pack on my stomach is really rock solid, but my skin is kind of like a Hessian sack.
Thicker. I'm getting an elephant skin.
Isn't it horrible?
I'm also growing a tail. Is this common?
Now, isn't it? I love the way men get hairy as they get older.
I'm getting definitely hairier.
Like that.
My bottom area now, it's like the Black Forest down there.
See, I think blokes are so...
Bring your own gatto.
You get better. I love it.
We don't get better. I like it. Hey, I'll be honest with you. I'm quite enjoying my wife ageing. I like the ageing process. And
Your
she's not
wife
really,
isn't old.
No, she's not accelerating into the older period, but I'm looking forward to it. I like it.
Your wife's a stunner.
She's a stunner, but I like a woman's body once gravity starts to play its cruel tricks.
Do you?
Yeah, I don't like it at all, don't worry.
Is there a broom cupboard here?
Yeah, some of us can deal with the realities of life. Others, I mention no names, but Rod Stewart springs to mind. No, they can't. Always trading him for a younger model. You're with someone, you grow, you mature, and you respect and you like each new phase as it occurs.
And does it not occur to you that as you get older, you might droop and get duller
I am.
us
No,
women?
I am. I know I am, and but I think you have to make peace with yourself there. Sure, at the moment I'm still very much an idol. Okay, sure, still probably in the top 10.
I have noticed
most attractive men, but
you are holding your stomach in as you sit there.
I spend most of my time holding my stomach in. It's Pilates. I'm trying to master it like this. Andy, on the other hand.
What?
Oh, it's shocking. Let's have some more music and we'll chat to Toyah some more after this. What are we going to play?
Bit of XTC.
Oh, lovely. Sure, they've just made that up, haven't they? Gilfest.
Yeah.
Is there such a thing as Gilfest?
Yeah, it's been on before.
I've never heard of it.
It's in Guildford.
I don't
funny
believe
enough.
it. I don't believe it happens. We've got Toyah Willcox with us, ladies and gentlemen. Matthew Perry is here. He'll be coming up shortly. We were just talking while the record was on about what the audience reaction you have when you're doing Calamity Jane, and you were saying there was one particular night that was
It was a matinee
memorable.
in Liverpool when we had a young male in who had Tourette syndrome.
Fantastic. I like this story already.
And he kept shouting a certain expletive that...
Now we can't use what we call
Icker,
it.
let's say Icker.
So,
and he meant it as a compliment.
Something he wanted to do to you.
Yeah, he wasn't being nasty at all. I mean, this poor boy couldn't help himself. But I get beaten up a lot in this show, and whenever something happened to me, it was Icker, Icker, Icker. It was more.
But
in the
more.
snog scene...
Good heavens.
When the snog is very passionate,
Yeah.
he was really shouting it.
Oh,
and like we were laughing our heads off, and trying to snog. And I suddenly heard the smack of flesh over his mouth, and a member of the audience covered his mouth with
Someone
their
else
hands.
reached forward and did it?
Yeah.
You'd have to think, if you did have Tourette's, and it must be a terrible thing to have, maybe you wouldn't go to the theatre too much. You might,
Especially
you might think,
matinee
okay,
full of children.
Oh my goodness! How old was he? Was he a young guy?
He was quite young when we did the bows. I mean, he was a lovely-looking boy. He looked about 15. He was really sweet.
Oh, it's quite heartbreaking. I remember reading about there was a recent big documentary made in the States about Tourette sufferers. And it was apparently a very interesting and quite moving film. But they had a screening of it in New York, and they invited everyone who'd been in the movie along. So the whole cinema was filled with Tourette sufferers, all screaming odd kind of some barking.
Yeah.
You get a lot of barking goes on with Tourette's. Some just shouting rude words out whenever possible. Lots of people snuffling and just making noises. You wouldn't know where to look, really, would you?
Well, I developed Tourette's whenever I'm with my mum. I just don't know what happens to me. I mean, I just can't control myself.
That's not Tourette's. That's a teenage rebellion that refuses to die down. Toyah is to be found on stage here in London at the Shaftesbury Theatre. If I can persuade my children to go back to Calamity Jane, I'm going to bring them along.
Bring them, and then I want to meet them afterwards and say, look, is this not better than the film?
Just blew in from the windy city, and got what we got. It's a great, you see? And he slapped my thighs and everything.
No, there's no thigh slapping.
What do you mean there's no thigh slapping?
This is not a pantomime.
What's wrong with you? If you're wearing buckskin, you've got to slap the thigh.
There's lots of whip action.
Speaking of which, it's time for Whiff of Wyngarde. OK, Peter Wyngarde, legendary figure, iconic figure in the late 70s, fell somewhat from grace due to less enlightened social mores of the period. Now he's back, we like to think.
Oh, really? That's a scary thought.
It's not a scary thought, it's a thought to be embraced every
Why
week.
do men think that moustaches are sexy?
Because the moustache shows that you've got extra hormones.
Not to me, it don't.
It shows you've got all the right liquids bubbling in there under the
It
surface.
shows me you've got too much food on
You
your
don't
top
like
lip.
you don't like the moustache?
No.
What about the way Wyngarde wears it?
No.
What's wrong with you, woman? Look at that.
And look, he's keeping a sandwich in his underpants.
That's a great look. No, if you haven't yet treated yourself to a copy of Peter Wyngarde's one and only album from 1970, When Sex Leers Its Inquisitive Head, apparently you can find them on Amazon.
Yeah, someone's emailed saying they got it.
HMV occasionally said, I urge you, I beg you to get a copy, okay? And we're going to play a track now. Now, my favourite track, of course, is track 3, which we can't really...
No.
It's so only a matter of time, and
No, it isn't.
it's so only a matter of time before we...
The last ever show, perhaps. When
All
someone
right,
marches
well,
us out.
okay, next week. And then... So the one we're going to play today is a track... I don't know what they were thinking. Track number 9, Hippie and the Skinhead. I know you're a fan, Toyah.
Yeah, big time.
Relax, enjoy. We're going to say thank you to you because you're off after this, I guess. You've got to do the matinee today, haven't you?
Yeah, yeah.
But relax and enjoy Peter Wyngarde's vocal stylings with the Hippie and the Skinhead.